Gael, welcome to the Fozcast. It's fair to say, mate, when footballers finish their career, a lot of them don't know what to do next. A lot of them don't have a passion. They get a little bit lost. But for you, it seems very clear you know what your next step is, right?
I think, when you've been in an industry for 20 years, it's very difficult to see yourself elsewhere. And I've been lucky because I think I love the game so much to meet and to have met Pep. My last year at City, I never really considered being a coach, even though I always had a good relationship with young players and I always thought maybe I could do something. But seeing him working, and you put aside the trophies that he won because obviously, that's crazy. But I said to myself, if being a coach is this, then I want to try it.
Is it different, what he does and the way he does it? Is it different to anything else you've ever seen?
Yeah, I'm always been... I've never seen myself as a talented player. You need talent, but I've never seen myself as a talented player, but someone who work hard. And I made a name for myself because of certain things that I've been doing for so long. So details always been into my career. And when I saw him, and just to give an example, for 20 years I've heard manager saying, and I'm not saying that they were just talking, for the sake of it, but the story of the weight, if a player is overweighted, he's not going to play, blah, blah, blah. I've heard that so many times. And really, when you have your best player overweighted, you need him, you play him. He arrived, and the first meeting he had with us at City lasted 45 minutes. And he talked about everything except football. And he told us one of the first rule, a player who is 2 kilos overweighted, and this is not you giving us your weight, it's us after pre-season, he's not going to train. And I was like, okay, I'm listening now, because I've always been onto food and nutrition and how you sleep and how you live life, because it's a job. And then what I see is that the first 3 players, Yaya Touré, Samir Nasri and Kevin De Bruyne, all of them overweighted. What you going to do now? And they just ran. So Kevin was the first one to lose the 2 kilos, so he joined the team fairly quickly. Yaya took a bit longer, and Samir was the second one. So I thought to myself, this is, sometime the words, that you use means a lot, but the acts means more. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to look into, obviously, what is going to bring us as player, but I'm going to see how we behave, with the staff, with men managing. And that was unbelievable. Everything about details.
Especially when if it was the goalkeepers or, I don't know, the centre-backs, but when it's Yaya Touré,
that's what I mean,
Kevin De Bruyne.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
No, because it's easy. It could have been easy. If it's Gaël Clichy overweighted, okay, you put him on the side. He's not a game winner. He's not going to change your game. But that was 3 players that, we know them. And I was like, this is the kind of coach I want to be. Again, put aside the trophies, because this is down to, the quality you have and the team you have and a bit of destiny, because I do believe in destiny. But if managing and being a coach is this, I want to try it.
So do you think then that him setting his stall out straight away and saying, no, if you don't fit into what I want, you're not going to play. Did everybody else see these 3 players having to do the extra work to lose the weight and then say, oh, well, he's not joking, he means it?
Well, Yaya was the first one, because Yaya for more than, 10 years at City was the player. You can name games, big games player. When you need a goal, he was the player, sorry. So obviously you hear those words in the first meeting and you think, okay, without putting the guy on the weight machine, we know he's overweighted because he's always been like that. So we want to see what you're going to do now. And then straight away, he's backing up his word. And you think, yeah, this guy is... So he's not only good because he wins. He's good because he's consistent
True to
with
his
him.
word.
Yeah, exactly,
So was that a step on from Arsène Wenger? Because obviously Arsène, it's very kind of well known that he came into the country in the 90s and almost revolutionised football and diet. So was Pep almost an evolution from Arsène?
I think so. It's very much, it's different generation, so you can't really compare. But there is thing that, take them, and put them in the same box. Arsène changed the game, I think, when he arrived with a vision that nobody had in England. But also Arsène had a club with history. I'm not saying City didn't have history, but, really the last 10, 12 years, he gave City a new a glow up if you want.
Yeah,
Now it's one of the club that everybody wants to join, not just down to him because the work done before him was evident, but it's always easier to come in a club that needs everything to be written to start something when Arsène arrived and the club was already Arsenal. So but Arsène had players that won already. So when you're a player who won things, you know what it costs to win. You have to be serious. You have to be, all details are important. So it's very similar, but at the same time, very much different.
With regards to your own coaching journey then, okay, so say you get a managerial job tomorrow. What is the most important part of being a manager for you? Because by the sounds of it, it's not just making sure you've got your team in that right formation and the players are in the right places, but it sounds like the other side of it is just as important.
But that's why I think football is fantastic, because you will have someone like Pep who is like, a genius for some people because he's thinking and sometimes overthinking. And you have someone like Ancelotti who's telling you the main thing when you coach is to make the player feel good and then they will perform. Obviously, this will work if you are in a top club where the players are actually probably better than you and you can ask Kevin De Bruyne to play right back. He will not perform at his best because he's not a right back, but he will do the job. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like yesterday with Liverpool, a guy who's playing at the right back position and he's man of the match. So can you do this if you play in League One? I'm not sure. So that's a different discussion. But my point is that I do feel that if you cannot put a session together for the players, you can have your assistant doing the job for you. Yeah. But to manage players, that's a quality that you need to work to have. Because I don't think anyone is born with it. I think it's something that you need to work on, and I think that's the main important thing, And if I go back to Pep, I remember after a session we were talking, so we did a drill, and he told me, and we have like 40 seconds water break between two practice. So he told me and he said, when you receive the ball, I'd like you to receive it like this. I hope it feels natural, because when you receive it like this, you can play there, and you have free option, for example. And then we went over the 40 seconds, and the next practice was a practice with an exercise with the fitness coach. So now the team is gone to the other side of the pitch, waiting for me and Pep to finish. And after maybe a minute, the fitness coach is shouting to Pep. He said, "Oh, Pep, you speak later. It's my time now." So obviously we all know Pep is the big boss, and if you want to pin him, and he said, "Okay, talk, when I'm done you will start your exercise," he looked at me and said, "Okay, Gael, go, because he's going to destroy me if I take too much of his time." So I'm running to join the team, and I'm thinking, I love that. We know he's the boss, but he's putting everybody
respect.
So basically, you, my assistant, if the team is messing around with you, the effects or the impact that's going to have on you as a player, not respecting him, is the same that if you don't respect me.
You've seen it the same as me, where if there's a coach or an assistant or a physio and they try and get involved, the manager can shut them down in an instant. They shut them down. But we see that as players. And as soon as we see that, we think, oof. Yeah. There's a power struggle there. That's it. I can take advantage of that power struggle as well, can't I?
That's it. But another example is Nasri went on loan to Seville. And we had a session when we did small-sided games, and he had a small argument with Arteta. Like he didn't get physical, but they really get close. They got close. Like the week later, he was on loan. So those things, when I was looking, I was like, wow. It's not that I've never seen anything like it, but I think this is how you manage. Yeah. And when I speak to people, different managers, different head coach, you have to manage the team behind the team, and this is how you manage your staff, and you have to give them responsibility, you have to give them love, you have to protect them, because like you said, if you let this go and the team feels that, the dressing room is ruthless, so if they feel the assistant is not as powerful, it's game over.
You've mentioned Pep a lot. Is Pep the one? Is Pep the guy who, if you had to pick out of everybody, is he the one that's probably taught you or made the biggest impression on you?
Pep is not the one, because the one is Arsène and will always be Arsène. He's the one that gave me my chance, but also the one could be, Mancini, because he's the only real one who took me from a big club, spend money to have me and to change the story of City. So each of them, accordingly to the time we were, is the one. But Pep in 10 months, basically, I'd won 3 Premier League, and I know many players won more Premier League than me. I played many games in the Premier League, over 50, 60 game in the Champions League, final of Champions League with Arsenal. and yet in 10 months, he taught me how to see the game again. And that was a bit of a shock because, you know, when you get to a certain age and you've been in an industry for so long, you're certain of certain things. So I was certain of how to play football. And obviously you need to be attracted to this type of football. You know, if you like long balls, then you're not going to be, you know, attracted by Pep's game. But this is me. I like to play out from the back. I like to have possession. So when I saw him after 10 months, I was like, whoa. So now when I watch a game, I'm thinking it's hard to distance myself from his ideas because this is what I would like to do.
Yourself, yeah.
Not just his, because I have my own, but it's so simple. And yet it shows you that the simplest thing in football are the hardest. And that's why, you know, the big players can execute what he asks and the rest maybe are struggling. You need to see faster, you need to see ahead, you need to be able to execute.
Thanks everybody for watching. We hope you enjoyed the latest episode of the Fozcast. Don't forget to give us a follow on Spotify of the Fozcast.